Hello, YouTube. Little Derek dot Comics back with another video. And today I'm going to talk about art and the first rule of art, right? So imagine making a great art piece. It's probably something that consists of great perspective, great line weight, very articulate paint strokes. You have a field of depth, something along those lines, something that draws your eye, something that you've honed and you've practiced these skills to make this great art piece, right? Now take all of that and throw it out the window. So the first rule of art is that there are no rules. Art is simply a means of expressing your creativity. Okay. It's a very broad thing, and there are many ways to make art, right? You might not necessarily be a visual artist. You might be somebody that makes music. You might be somebody you might be somebody that draws. You might be somebody that sculpts. Your art might not even be conventional. There are a multitude of ways to make art, and this idea that we have of art doesn't always encompass everything. And I feel that this is important to talk about because I feel like a lot of new artists or people that haven't stepped into that realm of art are a little intimidated because they don't have that skill that's established. But you don't just pop out of the womb just making freaking portraits of people. You don't do that. Art is something that you hone, it's something that you practice, it's something that you get better at over time. If you see anybody that has a good art piece or somebody's art style that you like, chances are they've just done it for a really long time. And I'm getting slightly off topic, but they've made their own set of rules for their own art. Say you want to paint, but you can't really get this image you have in your head, right? You don't know how to draw or something like that. You don't really have to. You technically don't have to know how to draw at all to make art, like I've said. But, if you want to paint, you could just throw paint everywhere, splatter paint all over a canvas. You don't have to actually make an image that comes into your head. A lot of art can just be, free. There's automatic drawings. There's, things where you just kind of don't think about what you're making. Just be creative. There's improvisation in music. There's a lot of different ways to do things without having to apply to certain rules, especially rules that you're not familiar with. Even people who are seen to be like masters of art or have historically just iconic artwork have, taken some artistic liberties, and that's fine. Let's look at something like the Statue of David, for instance, right? It's a great statue, it's a beautiful statue, and it looks amazing, but it's not a proportionate statue. When you look at, say, the head and maybe even the hands, they're a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be proportionate to the body. And, this is most likely intentional because it is a huge statue, and, the scale is insane. So the perspective will be a little weird to the human eye because it's so much larger than life. So when you have something like an enlarged head or enlarged hands to compensate for some of that, it starts to make it look more down to earth in a sense. And because if you think about it, and it was just completely proportionate, and you look up at a huge statue like that, the head is kind of gonna look smaller. It's kind of gonna be harder to get the bigger picture. But he took those artistic liberties, and it made it even better. It's something unique too. The way you stylize it like that. It's you put a little bit of you in the artwork. So not only do breaking these rules, make it more unique, but it makes it more interesting. There's a little bit of a story behind it. You can see your thought process when you're making it. So, there are established rules to art. I'm not saying that there aren't things that make art look good, but it's also interesting when you start to break those rules. Let's use another example. Let's use Starry Night by Van Gogh, right? This is one of my favorite like art pieces ever. So it's a really good painting. It's really nice looking. It's very stylized. And that makes it unique. Like especially at the time people didn't really paint like that. This was like a new phenomenon. People were focused on accuracy and realism and stuff like that, and making it as realistic as possible, right? So you have this where it's a lot more stylized and loose, and it's a lot more free and makes it more interesting, and that's why it's really stood the test of time, and it breaks the established rules of the time. It makes it more interesting. And let's use one more example to really drive home the point that you don't have to always follow the rules to have interesting artwork, right? And this is going to be not an actual historical artist example, right? Think about, for those of you who have kids, those of you who've been around kids or can just remember what it's like to be a child, right? Kids don't draw like adults, right? And you wouldn't expect a child's art to be very professional, really intricate, right? But it's very interesting when you look at a kid's drawing, when you see the marks, right? They're really loose, they're really free. They don't follow any kind of established rules. They don't have any kind of anatomical correctness a lot of the time. It's very wonky, but it's free, right? It's free. It's you see it and it takes you back to a time when you were a kid, right? You know what it's like to be that imaginative. They don't really follow these rules. They color outside the lines quite literally. And what do? You get the picture, you see it, you're like, "Oh, this is cute." You put it on your refrigerator. It's interesting, right? You wouldn't do that if it wasn't some form of interesting, right? So think about it like that. You breaking the rules can make a very interesting art piece. So what's the takeaway to this video? Why did I make this video today? Well, I know a lot of people are kind of intimidated by starting art, and I know that people don't have a lot of the fundamentals, right? But I'm here to tell you, you don't really need that, right? When I was younger, I didn't really have art classes for real. I didn't have art classes until I went to college, but I could draw even before I had any art classes because I just went ahead and drew. I developed my own style from, just making stuff. I got better with classes and everything, but you don't need that to get better, right? And even if you wanted that, there's plenty of resources to get better at. But I'd say just start, right? Just start making art. If you want to pursue art, if you want to express yourself creatively, do something, make something. And it doesn't have to be a drawing, it doesn't have to, be a painting, it doesn't have to be music. Just make something, put something out there, express yourself. And with that being said, we've pretty much reached the end of this video. I just kind of wanted to come on here and inspire some people to create, right? And not get in their own head about what skills they do or don't have. All right. Go out there and tape a banana to a wall and, just have fun creating. And if there's any topic you want me to cover in future videos, if there's maybe something you want to learn pertaining to drawing, painting, digital art, animation, let me know in the comments. I can cover it in like the next video, like literally, I can cover it in the next video. So if that's anything you'd be interested in, comment and subscribe. Subscribe, and I'd love to take you on this journey and, show you how to make art and do art and share the video, get more people on board. Let's have a community. And lastly, leave a like, leave a like. It doesn't hurt to leave a like. It's free. It really helps me out in the algorithm. But yeah, that's the end of the video. So go out there and create art and be amazing. Peace.